All right, so Willem, you are the founder of Botanix Labs and Spider Chain, and we're here today to talk about Botanix. It's a brand new L2 EVM that's built on top of Bitcoin. We've seen a couple of other quasi L2s come out for Bitcoin. We have Stacks has been long running, and now we have you guys. So where's the evolution in that of going from we just have Bitcoin for itself, and then we have Lightning come along, then we have Stacks being built on top of it. Now we have all the ordinals that are coming, and then we finally have L2s and EVMs built on top.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I think there's definitely more L2s coming, and I'm very excited for it. Like the more activity on Bitcoin, I think is way better for Bitcoin than anyone thinks. It will bring a lot of activity and utility to Bitcoin, which will massively increase its value. And actually, where the idea came from, like a year and a half ago or something, for Botanix is it was very interesting to see the crypto space play out, where you have Bitcoin, where there was almost zero utility, it was just like the best pure, secure, decentralized money. And then all the utility and all the dApps were basically outside of Bitcoin. And I always had the theory that any dApp that is deployed outside of Bitcoin will reach product market fit on Bitcoin. It's very hard to build on Bitcoin. And so there's no infrastructure available to do it. And so we basically had the idea, the EVM is actually the thing that really powers the dApps. So if you basically separate the EVM from Ethereum, it's really the EVM that is extremely powerful. And in our mind, the winning virtual machine. And so that's where we came up with, let's build an EVM as a second layer on Bitcoin. I think what differentiates us from Stacks is Stacks runs on Stacks token. So it's more like a Polygon in that sense. Mm-hmm. We run fully on Bitcoin. So you'll see Bitcoin everywhere, but it's like a plug and play. Any dApp that can work on Ethereum can work on top of us and suddenly works on Bitcoin. So they have Bitcoin in your MetaMask, etc. So it's very, very interesting. So we're looking forward to going onto Mainnet and seeing what a lot of people will do with it.
Oh, so the gas token that's used on the L2 is Bitcoin.
Correct.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Wait, so how does that infrastructure solution work? I mean, I know you guys have Spider Chain. How are you guys threading the needle here with the Botanix EVM Layer 2 solution? And what makes it different from another L2 that we might see, like the OP Stack or Polygon or like Arbitrum?
Yeah, so we're more comparable to like an Arbitrum. Basically, actually, our bridging solution to go to layer 2 looks very much like an Arbitrum, and the user experience is very similar. So how you move from Ethereum to Arbitrum and back, it's very similar from how you will move from Bitcoin to the layer 2 EVM and back. Now in the EVM, there's no such thing that says like, okay, this is Ethereum or this is Bitcoin. It's just digits, right? So you can interpret those. And then what the Spider Chain does is basically make sure that it's a two-way peg between Bitcoin and Botanix. So when you send Bitcoin to the Spider Chain, you will get Bitcoin back as a native currency on the EVM. And so all the gas fees, etc., basically accrue back to the stakers, because how we secure the EVM is basically by building a proof of stake on Bitcoin. So you stake Bitcoin on Bitcoin, and that secures the EVM.
How does that work? The staking Bitcoin on Bitcoin?
Yeah. So basically, the Spider Chain is what we call a network of decentralized multisigs. And the way to think about it is, if you're familiar with Lightning, what Lightning is a network of 2 out of 2 multisigs, all connected, decentralized. And so that's the basis. Now imagine that it's not a 2 out of 2 multisig, but it's now 100 as a size. And so you build a decentralized network of bigger multisig sizes. And that's also where you stake your Bitcoin in. So if I want to run a full node of the EVM and a full node of Botanix, I will put the Bitcoin in the Spider Chain. That's like going to be a fixed Bitcoin amount that is considered your stake. And then you will be allowed to run a full Botanix node, which is also the EVM. And for users, you basically send Bitcoin to the Spider Chain and you get the Bitcoin back on the layer 2.
And so how is that like custody system work? Like is there a set of nodes that is managing that Bitcoin custody? Like how does the key management work there? Because I don't think that Bitcoin has a staking solution built into it.
No, you can do a lot with Taproot though. But basically, in essence, how the custody works is like it's distributed between all the decentralized node operators. So everyone who operates a full node basically has a share of that. So in essence, you have to think about it. Let's say there's 10,000 stakers, 10,000 people who run full Botanix node and have staked Bitcoin. What you will do then is you will create a series of multisigs. For example, one single multisig is 100 random participants chosen from the 10,000 stakers, right? So you randomly choose 100 participants, and they will secure one single multisig. And then you create a new one. Then you create a new random multisig that is secured by 100 out of those 10,000. And then you create a third one, and then you create a fourth one. And that's basically where you get this decentralized network of multisigs. And that's what you call the spider chain, basically. So who actually has the custody of a certain Bitcoin or sats, that's basically a randomly 100 participants chosen out of the staker set.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's always a bit more difficult to build things on Bitcoin at the moment. But it's great to see that you guys are actually building there. So like what prevents with the spider chain, with all the BTC being custodied, like what's the security measures that go into place to ensure that like the 100 people aren't colluding to, or you have 10,000 people, like what security measures are being taken to make sure there's no collusion or malicious attacks that are taking place?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And that's actually why the spider chain is designed that way, because the obvious question is, why don't you make one big multisig shared between the 10,000 people? Problem there is if you have, I don't know, the majority of those 10,000 collude, then they can steal all the Bitcoin, right? And that's why you basically break it up into like these smaller multisigs. Because now when you basically want to collude with those 100 people, they all lose their stake. But actually the amount of Bitcoin within a single small multisig will actually be way lower than the stake. So you have this multiplier, this capital efficiency multiplier, by dividing them down into small subsets of multisigs. But the biggest breakthrough to protect ourselves against that is what we call forward security. And so forward security is quite a novel concept. It comes from the cryptography world, from the encryption world, where basically forward security means if you encrypt a certain message and you lose in the future a certain private key, then actually your older message is still safe. You still won't be able to decrypt that. And so in a similar sense, the multisig sizes are like sequential. And so if at certain point in time you lose the majority of the staker set, let's say more than 2/3 of the staker set is malicious, what actually happens only from then onwards, all the future multisigs are compromised. They actually don't have majority control over all the previous multisigs. So the moment a malicious majority gets control over the staker set, they can steal exactly 0 Bitcoin. And that's a massive improvement. And the biggest thing is, of course, you're thinking about like, if there's like 1,000 Bitcoin on it, of course you can attack it very easily. But what if there's like 50,000 Bitcoin on it and you have 10,000 different stakers? Then mathematically, basically, it's impossible. And so while in the beginnings you are more vulnerable, once you grow in size, it becomes like more and more secure, so to speak.
Right. So seems like there's a couple of parts to the infrastructure here. You have the custody system, which is going to be running by people running the Botanix nodes or the validators or whatever you want to call them. And then there's the L2 EVM system, which is separate, which is like the sequencer and everything. How do those interact?
Yeah, so there's a longer term, you can start divide responsibilities. But right now, every orchestrator, as we call them, runs the full node. So runs the spider chain and runs the EVM at the same time. And so they will have visibility and control over the whole tech stack, so to speak.
That's interesting because you see most L2 EVMs that are running right now, they typically have a centralized sequencer that's being run.
Yes. So that's actually the basis of what we wanted to do. We realized that longer term and all layer twos are actually very centralized. And even now, they're actually just all have a single multisig. So it goes a bit further than a centralized sequencer that can censor transactions. It's also still centralized in a central multisig. Now, longer term, they want to get rid of that central multisig, but that has a lot of different risks. Basically, you lose your upgradability. You can no longer change the code. And so it's still very centralized, and it's a very tough problem to solve long term. And that's where we basically came up with the Spider chain. The Spider chain will be, the most decentralized layer 2 almost immediately, because basically you decentralize the whole staker set and all the different node runners. The big difference is, and it's a question you should always ask yourself, like, who is running the full node? Who is in control? Who can change the code? The people who can change the code can steal all the assets. So in the Spider chain, anyone will be able to run a full node. And so you will have, again, a proof of stake consensus. And there, basically you come again in like a consensus land where if people don't want to change the code, they don't want to change the code. And so in essence, you're immediately decentralized, which I think longer term will be a big asset, because if governments start cracking down on layer twos, then basically that's a very big risk, which is something that we will not face.
So there's going to be a bridge for both Bitcoin and then also for other existing Ethereum assets, other ERC20 assets?
So on Botanix itself, you can launch new ERC20 assets. Actually, we build a page where we explain how you can launch a token in 5 minutes on Botanix, because it's super easy, of course. It's a plug and play. Any smart contract that works on Ethereum will work on Botanix on Bitcoin. But we will absolutely build bridges, because the interesting thing is the Bitcoin Ethereum bridge is always been like a golden thing that everybody wanted. Somehow we still don't have it. But once you have an EVM on Bitcoin, it suddenly becomes very easy to build EVM bridges. And so you can basically bridge Botanix Bitcoin to Ethereum, have a decentralized wrap Bitcoin on Ethereum, and the other way around, like bridge from Ethereum, unwrap your Bitcoin there, and basically get the actual Bitcoin back on Botanix.
Yeah, because there's not really been a like, how do I say this? A decentralized wrap Bitcoin that's been able to gain any massive traction. I mean, we have TBTC, which I believe is the largest wrapped version of BTC on Ethereum that's not run by a centralized company, and it's only seen about $70 million worth of TVL, but I think there is significant demand to bring in Bitcoin as a wrapped EVM asset. So, like, what do you guys think will be done differently here with Botanix versus some of the other projects that have tried to create like a wrapped Bitcoin?
Like I said, the interesting thing is once you have an EVM, you basically have so many different EVM bridges already. And so you basically very easily get decentralized Botanix Bitcoin, bridge that over through an EVM bridge, and you have a decentralized version of Bitcoin on Ethereum. I think what will be a game changer here is that basically Botanix will be used way more than bridging, and so there will be way more capital available, and I think it will be an easier user experience and an easier flow. Basically, people will be able to use their classic bridging solutions that they use before. I don't know, like a layer 0 or an XLR or any other bridges. And so I think in user experience, it will be way easier to do that.
It's interesting. I think it'll be cool to be able to like start on Ethereum, maybe even like swap for whatever Botanix. Do you have a name for your Botanix wrapped Bitcoin yet?
No, we don't have it yet. But it could be like Botanix Bitcoin, or it could be like BTC, or I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, But to start an ETH, maybe swap through Curve and then pull it over to your EVM and then go out through the Spider chain.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the validators that are running the Spider chain, they'll earn a yield in Bitcoin, right?
Correct. So will be the first decentralized way to actually earn Bitcoin yield natively, which is actually quite
But like other than Lightning, right? So
other than Lightning.
other
Correct.
than Lightning, yeah. Because we've talked about Lightning yields before, and I'm actually pretty surprised. Like if you run a good Lightning node, you can earn upwards of like 9, 10, 11% in BTC for facilitating those transactions.
Yeah, it's very hard though.
Yes, it is very yes. Yeah.
A well-connected Lightning node for a few months, but unfortunately that did not work out. Well, I started working on Botanix then, but yeah, it's very tough on Lightning.
Do you think there could be Lightning integration with Botanix at some point in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it will probably be like an atomic swap provider that basically both runs Lightning, a big Lightning node, and runs a Botanix node, and basically does the atomic swaps. Like you send Lightning to that person, and you get Botanix Bitcoin back.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. So, like, when talking about like EVMs and the environments there, a lot of it's really predicated on like stablecoin usage. Do you guys have any plans to deploy with either like Tether or Circle or some of the other decentralized stablecoins like DAI or Frax?
Yeah.
Or is there going to be minting of like CDP enabled stablecoin using your wrap Bitcoin?
Yeah. No, Tether and USDC are hard to get to, but basically we have a founding team that's gonna deploy like a MakerDAO to get like a Bitcoin backed stablecoin, which is a huge application. Of course, that makes so much sense. I've been wanting to see stablecoin for so long on Bitcoin, and I think this might be the perfect infrastructure to do it on. Like you basically get Bitcoin on Botanix, and you put it on like a MakerDAO, and you get a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin back.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've talked on this stream before about how stablecoins, in theory, are coming to Lightning at some point with Taro, but
it's been in development for a while.
A long time. So this type of stablecoin infrastructure built on Bitcoin is definitely something that's needed, and hopefully it can really grow a lot. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So how's the testnet deployment been? Like, what have you guys seen so far in this period of early deployment?
Yeah, no, very interesting. So we had Testnet like running internally for like a month. We had a bunch of different testing, but there's no such thing as the actual deployment. So we went out, I think, last week, and very quickly a lot of people started botting us, which is very interesting to see. Very happy to see that play out. And basically, very quickly, our faucet struggled a lot. And then same on the backend. So we found some very interesting bugs, and that we're now fully working on, and so that it will improve ourselves quite a lot. So our next version of the testnet will be we'll be able to handle all those different bots. So very excited about that. So yeah, the amount of people using it has actually been way better than we expected it to be, because we also had a DEX, which is called Avocado Swap. And basically people could trade or launch their own token in like 5 minutes, like I said, and very easily within a few moments. Like we had some tokens on there, buy a Pepe token or whatever. So people really liked it. So it was like really fun to see it play out. Like it was a very smooth experience, and I really enjoyed that. A lot of people have deployed bots to like test a bunch of different things out. It's actually a testnet is a harsher environment than a mainnet, because of the simple reason that a lot of the bots were actually putting too low gas limits. So they were getting like filled with a bunch of wrong transactions and basically wrong executions. It was interesting to see play out. Of course, it doesn't cost any money because it's all testnet Bitcoin. It's all test Bitcoin, so you can way easier like try to bot someone, because on the actual mainnet it will cost a lot of money.
So when talking about the bridges, will you guys use like a third party solution like Axlar or one of the other providers?
Yes, we're in talks with a few providers. We basically want to work together with one single party, but we haven't landed on one.
Yeah, because the whole idea of like canonical assets on the network is always like a little tough in the beginning, right? Because it takes size to get the bigger players like Tether and USDC, like you said, to come in and do like a full deployment. It's got to make sense for them from like a business sense, I think. And so, until then, you get those like weird situations where you have like three different types of USDC or Tether or like different types of assets because of the bridging partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. What's the next few months looking like? So testnet has been running now. Is there another testnet coming? Like how far away is mainnet?
Yeah, we just took it down yesterday to do the maintenance because it was getting a bit buggy because of all the bots. We'll put it probably back up very soon, which then should be able to handle all the different bots. Then we're basically working together on the business side, having partners, funding teams deploy, test it out, see how that's going, and then we're targeting mainnet in a few months, basically.
Yeah. And like what's happening over like the next like couple of quarters? I mean, like did you say, was it like Q2 or Q3 for mainnet, you think?
Yeah, like Q2.
Okay. And what's on like the longer term roadmap for you guys, like coming into the later half of the year? Next year.
Basically, so how we're gonna build the first version of Mainnet will be a dynamic federation. Basically, people will be able to run a full node, will be able to join, will be able to leave, but it's gonna be in a permissioned way. Also, like we said in the beginning, if you have 50 Bitcoin on your network, it's too easy to attack it. So basically, we're gonna work together with a big staking provider, like a liquid staking provider. So people will be able to stake using that liquid staking provider, but we also know and we have the trust that liquid staking provider is someone we know and will not maliciously attack us. And then we'll work together with some bigger whales or investors that basically want to stake, and they will be running the decentralized version of the spider chain in the beginning. Then longer term, we want to make that more permissionless. So we're going to start with just a standard staking, so without the slashing. And then later in the roadmap, end of next year, we'll implement the slashing, do a bunch of different testing that ideally it's going to be a lot of business development, basically developing partnerships, etc. So that's a lot where the focus is going to be on the business side. And then hoping to get by end of next year, beginning of 2025, basically ready to become fully decentralized and fully permissionless, which is actually a very tough roadmap considering that all the layer 2s actually on Ethereum are still using that single multisig. We all know it's not easy, but we're actually quite comfortable on that roadmap.
And do you guys have any like internal modeling done of what expected yield would be, like the native Bitcoin yield would be for a validator?
Yes, we have absolutely done that. And it's actually very interesting because initially we believe the yield will be actually very high. If you look at all different new projects, and if you have activity in the beginning and very little staked, then basically you can have very high yields.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know, the yields could range anywhere in the beginning from like 20 to 50%.
That's great.
And then you basically follow the classical logarithmic downfall where I believe like eventually you will land on a I don't know, like a 6-7% yield. I think the yields we see on Ethereum and all the rest, or like the safe yield options like Ethereum, are like around 4 or 5%. I consider this a little bit more risky, especially in the beginning, because like you don't have the established time yet. It hasn't been running for 12 months yet. So I think the natural level where it will like play out will be around like 6, 7, 8%.
And like, let's say let's go through two things. So like the requirements for running one of these nodes for Botanix or the validators, like what's that looking like from a hardware perspective?
Yeah, exactly the same as like for an Ethereum full node. It's going to be way easier to run it, but hardware requirements are going to be very similar.
That's pretty cool. And then also, like, if I just have BTC and I don't want to run a node, is there ability for me to like lend my BTC into a stake somewhere to earn the yield?
Yeah, exactly. So the same you see with the liquid staking providers you have on Ethereum. will work together with some of those liquid staking providers, so you can stake your Bitcoin with them. They will run the full node for you. They will take a share of the staking rewards or take a fee, but you can basically get your rewards as a Bitcoin staker.
That's pretty cool. I'm excited to see this and see how this plays out. It might be a pretty big market to go after with like stake Bitcoin.
It's I consider it a massive market. I think it's people are sleeping a little bit on what Bitcoin can do in terms of utility. Basically, with an EVM on Bitcoin, you can do anything that you have on Ethereum, and you can do it on Bitcoin. So yeah, that's on its own a massive market.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for coming on today. We learned a lot about Botanix Labs and the Spider Chain and everything that you guys are building. And we'll have links below to go check out all the docs and the website. And for people at home that are watching, like, how can they get involved?
I would definitely check out the Twitter. So follow Botanix Labs. All official announcements will happen on there. If you want to be more active, like over the next weeks, take some time over the next months, take some time to take the testnet for a spin. It's quite powerful to see it play out. It's down at the moment right now, but definitely do that in the coming weeks, because I think there's always a big difference between seeing an idea and hearing an idea. And so if you take a testnet for a spin and you just can launch a token in 5 minutes, and you can easily swap on a DEX, which is like takes a few seconds, and you see Bitcoin in your MetaMask and you pay Bitcoin as your gas fees, that's really powerful to see. So that's a big eye opener for our team and for the people that we talk to. So definitely do that over the coming weeks. It takes like 5 minutes to get some testnet Bitcoin, swap against some Pepe tokens or whatever, and try it out.
Well, very cool. And you guys have been building for a long time, and it's great to see that you're getting to testnet and to full net, or like full mainnet sometime in Q2 of next year. So
Absolutely.
Good luck and congratulations on the successful testnet. And we'll have you guys back on once you get closer to launch. So thank you so much for being here, Willem.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Great day.
Make sure to subscribe to Leviathan News and follow us on Twitter. You can listen to this in Spotify, which I like, or also on YouTube as well too. So we'll have all the links below. And thanks for being here, Willem.
All right. See you.
Thanks a lot. Good luck, man.
All right.